established rich coming right back at you. And today, we got to talk about a situation that went from somebody trying to expose another man to basically exposing themselves in real time. This whole thing between Aries Spears and DJ Vlad has turned into one of the most uncomfortable public meltdowns I have ever seen. And the reason it got so bad is because Aries Spears walked into this thinking he was about to destroy Vlad publicly, only for his own story to start collapsing once he started telling it. That is the part that made this so hard to watch. Because when you go to war with somebody publicly, you better have your facts right, your timeline right, and your emotions under control. If you don't, people stop focusing on your message and start focusing on your behavior. And that is exactly what happened here. This didn't come off like a man making a strong business case. This came off like a man whose ego got bruised and he couldn't deal with being told no.
But Vlad is such a narcissist and sensitive. And listen, I'm an egomaniac. I got my flaws as far as some of that goes, so I'm owning up to that. But I'm also not going to kiss your ass, which is to say, I guess in Vlad's mind, maybe I approached this wrong, even though I just simply said, yo, man, I would like a little bit more money. To which he said, and this is where he kind of rubbed me wrong, where he just goes, something, and he said it so blatantly, like, you know, you don't do what Boozy does, and I don't care what people say in terms of them telling you, yo, I watch the show for you. When you're not on, I don't care for it. When you're on, I buy subscriptions. The minute you leave, I cancel the subscription. All I'm simply going to say is there's value in that. And I know I don't get the numbers that Boosie gets. So I'm not asking for what Boosie gets. But what I'm saying is if there is value and people telling you that, yo, I watch because of him, I get subscriptions because of him, well, the nigga, break a little bread. Because if I'm the last of the Mohicans, and I thought Tony Yayo wasn't on anymore, but he still is, as far as I know, Lord Jamar quit. Godfrey, I know for sure, quit. Boozy, because he's not getting the money he wants, he quit. If I'm one of the last staples left that generate numbers, work with me. And the main thing that struck me wrong is I said, Vlad, don't tell me my worth. Because while you might feel I'm not, and maybe he thought I was asking for what Boozy was, which I wasn't. And I thought I made that clear.
The first thing you notice is how emotional this whole thing sounds. It doesn't sound like somebody calmly breaking down a business dispute. It sounds like somebody personally offended that they were not viewed the way they view themselves. And that is a very important difference because the core of this whole argument is money, value, and performance. Aries Spears believes he deserves more money for his appearances on VladTV. Vlad looked at the analytics, he looked at the business side of it, and basically said the numbers don't support that. Now, people can argue on whether Vlad pays fairly or not. That is a separate conversation. But what you cannot do is demand more money while also failing to understand that this business is driven by metrics. And what really hurt Aries Spears in this situation is that he started sounding delusional about his own position. He talked like Vlad needed him more than he actually did. That is a dangerous place for any entertainer to be in. When you start believing your own comment section more than reality, you can talk yourself right out of a paycheck. Social media will fool people into thinking they are bigger than they really are. You read 10 good comments and you start thinking you run the whole industry. But business is not about ego. Business is about results. And if somebody looks at the data and tells you the value is not there, you either negotiate better or you walk away quietly. What you do not do is start crashing out publicly and expect everybody to side with you automatically.
Then when I didn't call him at the time he told me to call him, next thing I know, I see the clip of him talking shit. So I texted him and simply said, you know what, and like, I was almost rubbing my forehead when I did it. It's like, man, please tell me that you're not doing what I think you're doing. Please tell me you're not throwing me under the bus because I didn't call you back. Like, please, Vlad. And I literally text him all this. Please, I didn't even watch the interview because I'm just hoping you're not doing what I think you are. His reply, F you.
Well,
wait. And then the next thing I know, here we are. So say what you're about to say.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. I think that was the closest to an apology that we're going to get. That was great. I like that.
And just for the record, to all you people hitting me up going, yo, man, y'all need to make up and get back on the show because y'all two are like Howard Cosell and Muhammad Ali and the chemistry. That ship has sailed.
No, it hasn't.
That it's almost like a slave ship. That they got the niggas off of Africa and they went to America. that is gone.
Like Ike and Tina, you're going to be back together.
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, come on.
No,
Okay,
sir.
but
Not after all the shit he said.
so he said, what time works? You said 5 p.m.
No, I didn't. I said, I'll let you
After
know.
5.
I said, I'll let you know.
I saw the screenshots.
I know, but I'm just saying. I said, at first, I said, I'll let you know.
This is the moment the whole thing started falling apart for Aries. Because once your own co-hosts start checking you in real time, the audience immediately stops trusting your version of events. That was the most devastating part of this entire situation. It wasn't Vlad destroying Aries Spears. It was Aries Spears destroying his own credibility on his own platform. He said he never agreed to a time. Then the screenshots come out. Then the co-host basically says, I saw the text. Then you find out he was the one who said after 5 o'clock in the first place. Now, the audience is no longer listening to the bigger argument. They are focusing on the fact that you got caught in a lie. And once that happens, everything else you say starts sounding questionable too. That's why people have to be careful lying about little details. Sometimes the small lie destroys the bigger point you was trying to make. And you could see this happening live. Every time he talked, his own co-host looked less convinced. Every time he tried to explain himself, it felt like he was digging a deeper hole. And honestly, it started feeling sad more than entertaining because you could tell this wasn't going the way he thought it was going to go. He thought people was going to rally around him and say Vlad was wrong. Instead, people started asking why his own story was changing every 10 minutes. Now let's talk about the staff issue because this is another moment where his credibility took damage. He tried to make it seem like there was nobody else there to disrespect. It was just him, Vlad, and the camera guy. But then his own co-host brings up the makeup artist, Candace. And the second that name comes up, you can feel the shift in energy.
I'll be honest, I've been ignoring the clips. Every time I see one, I just go past it. Because I know me. And I'm fighting to just not be a Tupac and be like, that's why I'm fat. But the clip I saw, you go, so Aries, when he comes to my studio, he berates and disrespects my staff. He's rude. He talks crazy to him. And you gave this one example where I just put the phone down and went, you liar. He goes, Aries brings a towel with him because he sweats. And one day he forgot his towel. So he stopped the taping and told, and let me be clear. When you go do Vlad TV, there's 2 people in the room. There's Vlad and his camera guy who also does the sound. And I signed the thing saying you could use my likeness. Those are the only 2 people in the room outside of me. So you saying staff, like you got a 15-man team. It's one. And at no point did I go, stop. And you said, I stopped him and I told him, go to the store and get me a cloth. And we had to wait till he came back and brought me what I demanded. That never happened ever. And when I go to Vlad, the most conversation I have with his cameraman is, hey, how you doing? He mics me, I sign a little tablet, and that's it. We have never exchanged words, me and your camera guy, ever. I put that on my kids' lives and myself. If I'm lying, maybe all not wake up tomorrow. That is like Tony Soprano. I'm my daughter's nice. That's never happened, you liar, you snake.
Tell me about Candace,
Who's Candace?
the makeup artist.
What about her?
She's all the rave now. She sounds amazing.
Yeah, she's a makeup artist. And yeah, for the record, yes, I would have a makeup artist cover up the dark spots around my eyes because one, it's hot as a with them lights on. So yes, I do sweat, hence the towel.
This is why people keep saying Aries Spears embarrassed himself. Because it wasn't just one mistake. It was a series of moments where the story kept changing or falling apart under pressure. And look, I'm not saying Vlad is perfect. Vlad can absolutely be petty, calculated, and sometimes he clearly enjoys breaking people down who publicly fall out with him. But this time, Aries Spears basically handed him the rope himself. Vlad didn't even have to really destroy him. He just had to let him keep talking. And the craziest part about all of this is that Aries Spears still seems to want a final interview with Vlad. That is the part that really makes this feel like an ego crash. Because after all the name calling, all the insults, all the put me on the show, all the don't be a dussy, what are you really doing here? You cannot publicly declare war on somebody, call them every name in the book, and then turn around and basically ask for one more sit down. That makes it look less like principle and more like desperation. And if Vlad brought him back now, it wouldn't even feel like a real interview. It would feel like Vlad using him as content. It would feel like watching somebody get used as a punching bag just for views. And that's why sometimes you have to know when to walk away with whatever dignity you have left. Not every fight needs a round two. Now, I also think this whole situation exposed something bigger about Aries Spears. It exposed how stuck he is in his own image of himself. Aries Spears is talented. Nobody is taking away his comedy history, his impersonations, or his years in entertainment. But there's a difference between being respected for your history and being as relevant as you think you are right now. And I think that gap between how he sees himself and how the business sees him is what really caused this explosion. He thinks he should be treated like a major asset, while the platform is looking strictly at current performance. That is a very hard reality for a lot of entertainers to accept. Sometimes your legacy is bigger than your current market value. That don't mean people hate you. That just means time moves on. And social media makes that even harder to accept because people are living in their own echo chamber. You start believing everybody loves you. Everybody supports you. Everybody thinks you're a genius until real business enters the room. Then suddenly, it's not about feelings no more. It is about tickets, numbers, subscriptions, retention, and ROI. And that is what Aries Spears never really addressed properly. Instead of making a strong business argument, he turned this into an emotional public meltdown that made him look even worse. Even his co-hosts looked like they didn't believe in him. And when your own people start checking you on camera, the internet is going to eat that alive every single time. At the end of the day, this should be a lesson for everybody. Never let your ego negotiate for you. Never start believing your own hype so much that you stop living in reality. And most importantly, if you're going to expose somebody publicly, make sure your own story can survive fact-checking first. Because if it can't, you end up turning yourself into a punchline. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe. Established Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.